Welcome everyone. Welcome from all parts of the globe. Welcome to our friends and families from the US, from the UK, from the Pacific Islands, and from my tiny island in Rotuma. I'm so glad to be here with you. I know it's been a while since I have come back and started or commenced my show, and I do sincerely apologize. However, there are things that's happening without my control, that I put it aside so that I know that I need to do this to enable me to move forward. Hence the reason for me wanting to be part of this program with the I Am official community. First, so welcome. Without further ado, I needed to acknowledge the conversations that we are going to have today in relation to traditional healing. Why traditional healing? So I was thinking in the last couple of weeks when I came back home to Brisbane, and I was going through so much, I should say, stress, but also fatigue from work, change of weather, change of environment, and also the food. So all these factors impact on me as a woman, as a mother, and also as a friend. So I thought today is a very good day to just take us back, but also look at my experiences growing up in a system where rituals and traditional healing is very much thrive in that environment. And I know that every day we wake up, mothers who have children need to take their kids to school, mothers who are at home who have errands to do, and we go through this daily grind in life, and we never get to have a break. And I acknowledge the previous colleagues of mine and whoever's out there, and coaches and life coaches, business coaches, who have repeatedly talked about health and care. And so I decided that I'm a learner, and I'm a learner, so I needed to not talk in my own expertise, but talk in experiences that may relate to you or relate to someone else. And those things through traditional healing. And why is it so relevant in today's daily life, I should say. And I also would like to acknowledge the First Nations, the Aboriginal communities, and from the past, present, and future. Without their stories, without their healing, I wouldn't know anything about that. And it has really opened my eyes and my heart to embrace it, because I live on their land, but it also brings back similarities of and in comparison to how they do things, the techniques they use through natural healing. And I see that the patterns are always interrelated, not just for our healthcare and well-being, but also business in the sense. So let me just go back to a little story. It happened yesterday when myself and my daughter-in-law decided to thank you, Alia, for giving me that treat to go and have a good massage and self-care treatment, I should say. And so we went into a suburb in Brisbane. And then both of us walked in, and I thought, oh, wow, it's been a long time that I was able to go and have this massage, because a lot of times it's like we do things for others, but we never think that this body and this being is as important as the families, the loved ones that you look after. And so we waited for our turn, and when it came for and while we were in that place, that healing place, I looked around, and then I saw all these young, beautiful young girls, and I looked at their forehead, look at me, and I looked at how they look like, and then all these things that I was, like I hear things like, and I started to not just compare, but I started to think of all the negative things, the limiting beliefs that you grow up with, and you think, oh wow, like look at her, look at some of the therapists, they look so stunning. But then I was thinking, oh, like I said, beauty is, we have different definitions of beauty. Beauty is not just how it is said or made in such a way to fit our society and how we were brought up. It's done in such social media to fit a certain system. And then I thought, and I laughed to myself, and I thought, okay, never mind, it's okay. And so while I met my therapist, she took me into the room, and then I had to lie on the the massaging bed. And then I started to not just, I heard the music, the soft music, and then I didn't giggle. I started to anticipate, and then I started to have anxiety, because you know how women were taught to respect ourselves, and then I thought, if it's a female to a female, that's fine. But it's all these negative things that's going in my head. So instead of me relaxing, I was like sweating in that little room. It was very quiet. It was so peaceful. But because I couldn't control my mind is controlling me at the time. But anyway, so I laid, and this therapist was so good. And then she started to start her process, from the back. She started off with my back, and then did this massage on my back, and I felt like I started to relax, because I know that I can control my mind. So I was lying there, and she was massaging me. And then when it came to my feet, I started to giggle, because I realized that yesterday morning, like, because we have so much, we were doing errands before we had to leave the house. I had my shower, but then I was walking barefoot in the garage, and then I quickly went outside, at the backyard. And my feet was covered with not mud, but it's like dry grass mud, and I didn't think, but I just put on my shoes and then hopped in the car and went. And then I was laughing, because she was massaging. She was like, perhaps she was cleaning it, because it was dirty, but I didn't think that it would matter at that time, because I said, oh well, it's okay. it's my turn now to be pampered, so why not enjoy it? And that's what I did. And after the massage, I came out of the room, and while I was sitting there waiting for my daughter, I started to have a conversation with, there's two staff members in the front, and then we talked about, so how good it is to, all the lockdowns that's happening in Australia and all that, and the impact it has on our small businesses. And then she was saying, one of the staff members said, it is so good to have women from all walks of life embrace themselves, come into that therapy place, so that they can have time for themselves, so that they can relax. So I was asking her, so how was it, how was it going with the business? And then she said, she said, in all these few months, we were able to build good relationships with some of our members and some of our clients, because they slowly learned to trust them. And through trust, they were able to, she said, you can't imagine, like, all these people with so many, all kinds of mental health issues. And then I said, so I was curious, and then I was saying, how how did you, like, not manage, but how did you get through to be able to solve some of the problems? And then I realized that, no, maybe that's not right. Maybe I should say, how was the relationship and how did it help to make people feel better? And then so she said, they come with all sorts of mental issues, but I guess this place is an outlet for people to be able to vent, for people to be able to talk about their problems that they were not able to talk to others. And so I guess so that maybe made me realize that is true, that there's an outlet there that you can go, and you either want to relax and be silent, or you are able to have these robust and meaningful conversations with some of their staff, and some of those people are healers as well. And when we talk about healers, I remember growing up in my island, and one of my uncle, he has passed away. I used to see him wearing a string bag with a bottle of oil. And I was curious, because I was thinking, why do you go to people's homes, and, why do you do what you need to do? Why do you do what you do? Apologies. And then he said, did you know that that healers are passed on from generation to generation? So if you have been given the oil on your hand, or if you have been selected or appointed or anointed as one of them, you have a duty of care to serve. So my duty is to go out and massage people. And when I was thinking about, okay, so massage, I didn't think at that time as a small child that it was a sacred thing. It was, massages are not just, you just go and you just massage for the sake of massaging. It has a deeper layer to the healing. And so I made reference to him, and when he passed away, in that line of generation of a kinship, children like Aboriginal people or First Nations, they can know if you're a healer through infants, and that is how healers are passed down from generation to generation. So in this context, I'm referencing my story to the story of Aboriginal communities. And I know that there's so many healers all over the world for First Nations, healers in the Eastern. There's some similarities to some of the traditional healings of Aboriginal people and some of my healing traditional healers from my island. And so some of the similarities that I found is using medicinal, bush medicine, like how the First Nation use their bush medicine, the fruits, the flowers, the barks from the leaves, looking at and techniques of how the tradition is, the healers are done is through visions, dreaming, signs and symbols that help them to analyze or to diagnose in a healing way, in a natural healing way, for clients and for people who want to go through that road. And so I see there's lots of interlinkages between the traditional healers from the Aboriginal community and traditional healers from the Pacific. They also use their hands for touch. They also use languages in their own locality for chants or for conversations while they're massaging their clients. And they also give medicine to help with the ailments. And so the similarities lie in, so I know that in the Rutuman culture we have, like, we talk about healing from not just healing from the whole. So whole, like for myself, it's just like healing from the whole and not just healing, not just one part of the body, as in comparison to the mainstream medical treatments. Or, you know, if you go to the doctor, then you said you have a severe headache, then they would ask, where is the pain? So you tell them where it's the pain. So probably they would prescribe you something to do with your headache. Whereas for traditional medicine and traditional healing in Aboriginal communities, it's to do with the ailment, but it's also to do with the spirituality of the person. And they say that if the spirituality is dislodged from the person is sick and the person is lost. And therefore, they need to realign the spirituality to the core, to the person, so that when the spirit is realigned, the ailment gets better and the ailment gets healed. And there's a lot of stories out there when I was working in Western Australia. And I've experienced some of these healings, and it has really opened my eyes, because this healing is so different though when you go to a doctor. When you have a good relationship with your doctor, it's good. But when you go with stress and anxiety and all those things, you are not able to articulate yourself. So when you know your body, your doctor may prescribe something that's not suited for the body. And so the body doesn't heal itself. But if you look at it from the Aboriginal way of healing, it is so gentle, it is low key, and it's so simple. And the techniques they use are very simple. And so I wanted to bring this to the forefront, because I know how we all talk of self-care, we all talk of misalignment. We all talk of so many things that can help us bring us back, bring our spirituality back to the core. And in this way, like after yesterday, I felt so good. It's just like a whole burden, a huge burden just lifted off my shoulder, because I started to feel relaxed when I was going through therapy, but I also started to take me back to that time when I was growing up. Time in that sense has a flow. I'm not looking at my watch, and I'm not looking at my time to time myself so I can get out of there. I just feel it. And for like people who do work in the villages, they made time. They time themselves to the weather and the sun, but time is flowing and time is free, and you're not committed or you're not tied to time. It flows through, and that's how I felt yesterday. And I wanted to share you my experiences, that it is good to now and then to look after yourself, not just in the house. Get out of the house, or in the house, a healing place where you can go and heal yourself. But why I'm saying this is important is because there's three elements, there's three aspects to the healing processes that I feel that is so important in business. I'm still learning. I know it's a work in progress, but I wanted to share with you what those three aspects are. And this is quoting from someone, and this is my three take for today. And it says like this: the shamans for today, the shamans and healers, the sage and wisdom keepers of all times, in all continents, and all people in their ageless wisdom say that human spirituality is composed of three aspects. One is relationship, and second one is value or values, and the third one is purpose. So these are the three aspects I brought it, because this is connected also to the Aboriginal way of healing. And I know this is so important, because when you start to build a business, these three aspects are part of building not just a business, but a thriving business. Relationship, in the sense, relationship meaning that we always ask why some people would say that, having a unique product or services or an ability to deliver an amazing customer services is important. But it's also relationship, building relationship, and dedicating and committing yourself to build strong relationship brings value, and so people see value and achieve goals within that product. It's also an investment, and it takes time to develop, and it also compounds over time. So relationship is built over time. Relationship is built on strengths, and strength is built over time. So it takes time to build up a good relationship. The second aspect from the holistic and from the spiritual traditional healing is values. So values in this sense, and I quote, is defined as determining the course of a business, which in turn influences strategy, and decision making. And core values form the foundation on which we build the business. And we need to uphold this, and so you see how your business bloom. The third aspect of the spirituality is purpose. Why? Because without you walking and working in your sense of fulfillment, without you serving with great intention and not purpose driven, a brand is without nothing. So in order to build a strong brand, you need to have a strong purpose, because a strong purpose not only helps the overall good of the society and the community you serve. And so I think I may want to elaborate more on the traditional healing, because I don't believe that I can do justice at this time, but I feel that it is so important when we talk about all these things, but we never talk about the spiritual realm of the holistic approach in the traditional healing from the Aboriginal community. And I know that I think in 2009 there is an organization that's been formed now in 2013 that is and this is the only organization in Australia that has been recognized and acknowledged about the traditional way of healing, to bring it forward, to work in collaboration with the mainstream medical doctors and nurses, because they see the value of how some treatments that doctors could not be able to treat a patient or a people from an Aboriginal community or Indigenous people, whereas when they bring in these traditional healers, and they are called the Nankari way, or the Nankari way is you call a traditional Aboriginal healer. So they bring these traditional healers into the forefront so that they can work in collaboration with the mainstream medical system in order to help a lot of the patients, because this healing brings people to their utmost happiness, to that sense of fulfillment, because without this, a lot of our cultural or people and communities get lost along the way. If you cannot adapt to the new way of living, well, if there's a new way, but in this present moment, if you cannot adapt your life, you get lost along the way. And if you get lost along the way, you lose your spirituality. So thank you for listening to me, and thank you for and acknowledging me that I'm still learning, and I know there's this huge, massive healing process that's getting and it's going out there, which I couldn't acknowledge at this time. But I hope this conversation will have another episode to enhance or to expand on what I've just discussed with you or shared with you this morning. And my wish is that we're all, despite all the challenges that we're going through now, that we will get there. And for those who are struggling at this time, my hopes and prayers are with you all. Thank you for listening.